Musicians are not being paid properly. Everyone is aware of this. Also, market access for musicians has gotten easier, not harder, given almost 5.5 billion people use the internet every day. So, musicians should be making more money, not less. Yet, according to Digital Music News, artists are expected to garner 1.5 billion streams to attain the equivalent of a platinum album. 1.5 billion streams at 30 seconds a stream is 1427 years of streaming per platinum streaming album. Back in the day of CDs, 1.5 billion streams at 30 seconds a stream equated to $1.5 billion to the musician. This situation of unfair conditions can best be exemplified using Amazon's epic Rings of Power, where after 24 billion minutes of streaming by 100 million people worldwide, Rings of Power at 0 0.4 cents a stream earned $192 million after an estimated billion-dollar investment. So they spent $1 billion on Rings of Power, and they made back $192 million. That is a loss of almost 80% on Amazon's own platform and under Amazon's own streaming contractual conditions. Given normal non-streaming conditions, Rings of Power would actually be profitable. At $11.75 per ticket for a movie theater with 100 million viewers, Rings of Power would have earned approximately 1.2 billion at the box office, not the 87.2% calculated loss. Using the example of Rings of Power on other platforms, on Apple Music, Rings of Power would have made $176.4 million, and on Tidal, it would have made a maximum of $300 million, with losses ranging from 70 to 90%. It's obvious that creators and specifically musicians are not being paid properly for their content. Another example of how content creators and specifically musicians are not paid properly by platforms is Spotify. It is a platform with 88 million subscribers in the United States, paying $10 on average per month. That comes to approximately 900 million a month and just under 3 billion a quarter from subscriptions. Spotify declared profits of almost 4 billion for the first quarter of 2024. With approximately 100 million songs on Spotify, that meant for every song on Spotify, Spotify made at least $13 per month. What is interesting is that Spotify pays musicians 0.4 cents per stream. If one person listens to one song for a month, the artist makes 12 cents, while the platform makes $13 per song per month, no matter what. That is a 99% loss for musicians. To utilize a prehistoric metaphor, Spotify is merely the CD rack. Subscribers are paying for access to the content on the CDs, not the CD rack. The CD rack is neither producing the music nor the movies. It is merely storing other people's work. Yet the CD rack is profiting from the subscriptions to the content. But wait, there's more. Transmitting and receiving data in the form of audio or visual material over the computer network as a steady continuous flow is what is streaming. So that means that internet service providers make the lion's share of the profits from streaming and not content creators. Internet service providers essentially took over CD manufacturing and distribution, And instead of those profits going to the musicians, they were diverted to internet service providers who never pay the musicians. Again, almost 5.5 billion people access the internet every single day. They access the internet for the content, not for the internet service provider, nor the CD rack. They're accessing the internet to listen to music or to watch movies and other content. An example of how profitable streaming is for internet service providers is the following. The customers pay $20 to $300 a month for access to gigabytes of data that they do not use, depending on your contract or subscription. When you exceed your allocation for the month, you simply top it up. 250 megabytes of data or streaming of one high quality, high definition video comes to about 30 to 60 minutes of streaming. Musicians are expected to generate 12.5 million to 25 million hours of streaming for a platinum album. At $3 to $12.50 per hour of streaming, that comes to $37 million minimum to $312 million maximum, conservatively, for the internet service provider. For their services, the platinum streaming musician is awarded $6 million. That is a loss of almost 90%. So I need to repeat this again. The musician is paid $6 million for their work, and the internet service provider gets $38 million to $313 million. One American internet service provider called Comcast declared a $1.2 trillion profit in the last decade from not paying musicians properly. There should be more billionaire musicians, not less. The music industry is thriving globally. Africa is now on the map. However, musicians are not being paid properly and are having to subsist off tours, merchandise, and other means when streaming should be making them the bulk of their money. And in some dire circumstances, musicians are losing up to 99% of their streaming revenue. So, to summarize, for a platinum selling album, after 1.5 billion streams on Spotify, the artist makes 1 million to 6 million. The platform makes around 90 million for a platinum selling album, and the internet service provider can make up to $313 billion from people streaming and listening to the artist. And this is all before the label recoups their the advance from the artist, who still has to pay back the loan from the recording company. So, in simple English, there should be more billionaire musicians than there actually are, because they are generating upwards of 1.5 billion streams for a platinum selling album. And a lot of artists have reached 1.5 billion streams and are paid $6 million instead of $1.5 billion. Not even Amazon, with all its money, could generate over $1 billion under its current streaming contractual conditions. Another problem with streaming, in order to make a profit from it, it requires that you attract millions of monthly listeners. And that's a fraction of artists, and specifically mostly artists that are based in the West and not in Africa. I distinctly recall last year, it was speculated that both ailments and low ticket sales resulted in the likes of Tyler, J-Lo, Justin Bieber, and Pink Panthers, among many others, canceling their tours. while Chris Brown, Taylor Swift, and Beyonce are set to gross between 30 to 600 million for their tours. Musicians can also make money from festivals like Coachella, brand endorsements, and merchandising. All, however, require a strong and loyal fan base in order to be lucrative. Therefore, it goes without saying that the higher ups in the music industry appear to have underestimated how streaming would grow in popularity globally. Thus, they completely failed to negotiate with streaming platforms and internet service providers at the inception of the music streaming, to the detriment of musicians. I believe it was Jay-Z who said that they failed to negotiate with internet service providers as well as with platforms. That's why he came up with Tidal, which pays better, but musicians are still at a loss. So Jay-Z started Tidal primarily to create an artist-owned music streaming platform that gives artists more control over their work and fairer compensation. As of 2025, Tidal remains unprofitable and is experiencing significant financial and operational challenges under its parent company. This is because internet service providers do not pay for access to the content. By providing a link to the content for the consumer and the platform, they bypass musicians who are essentially the content creators, and they don't have to pay them. Thus, a lot of platforms remain unprofitable because their income has been diverted by internet service providers. Hello everyone, Makadini, and welcome to my channel. Thank you for giving me your precious time and attention. Before I forget, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel.